Hey everybody, welcome to Monday. I hope everybody had a good first week of distance learning. Please make sure that you're doing your IXLs and let me know if you need any help. Check your grades, Infinite Campus is up to date and things aren't looking too good for a lot of us. So I'm here to help and we need to make sure that we're still being responsible and getting our work done. So this week we're going to be talking about proportions. So let's take a look at lesson 6.3, which is all about proportions and setting them up and what they mean and how we can check them. So our lesson for 6.3 is just called proportions. Our learning target is I can identify proportions using unit rates and equivalent fractions. Identify meaning like find, like is it a proportion, yes or no? And then we should know what unit rates are. It's a comparison of two quantities, especially if we have a denominator of 1. And then we should also know what equivalent fractions are, fractions that are just the same. So if we take a look at our proportion vocabulary box, a proportion is an equation stating that two ratios or rates are equivalent, and I have two proportions there for you. You'll notice that both of those proportions are using the same numbers. So one way that we can check them is using rates. So let's take a look at the rates. So I'm stating that $2 for 10 pints and $6 for 30 pints is the same, and that is a typo. It's supposed to say pints. So if I was to use the denominator of 1, I would do 2 divided by 10, and I would end up getting 20 cents per print or pint. And on the other one, I have $6 for 30 prints. If I do 6 divided by 30, I get 20 cents per print. So I know that those are proportional. They form a proportion. So when I'm checking fractions, I just look to see if those are equivalent or not. So I'm going to ask myself, how do I go from 2 to 6? Well, I times by 3. And we know the golden rule of math, whatever you do to one thing, I need to do to the other. So that means I also need to do 10 times 3. So I want both of these numbers to be the same. And they are the same. So 2/10 is equal to 6/30, which means that those two fractions are equivalent fractions, which means that those are proportional. So let's take a look at a couple examples. The first way that we're going to use it is unit rates. It says determine if the quantities, so the numbers, in each pair of ratios are proportional. So I don't know, is it proportional or is it not proportional? Are they the same? So in number 1, I have 20 miles in 5 hours and 45 miles in 9 hours. So the two units that I'm comparing are miles per hours. So I'm going to set up a rate, and I'm going to change it to a unit rate to see if they're the same. So my first one, I have 20 miles in 5 hours. And if I do 20 divided by 5, I get 4 miles per hour. My second one, I have 45 miles in 9 hours. So if I change that into a unit rate by doing 45 divided by 9, I get 5 miles per hour. So I'm comparing 4 miles per hour to 5 miles per hour. So these are not proportional. Okay, let's take a look at our second example. In number 2, I have 3 t-shirts for $21 and 5 t-shirts for $35. My two units that I'm comparing is money to t-shirts. So my first one, I have $21 for 3 t-shirts. And if I do 21 divided by 3, that means that I have $7 per t-shirt. And my second one, I have 5 t-shirts for $35. So 35 for 5 t-shirts. If I divide 35 divided by 5, I get $7 per t-shirt. So if I compare my two unit rates, I have $7 per t-shirt and $7 per t-shirt. That means that these two are proportional. All right, let's take a look at our word problem. Felissa read the first 60 pages of a book in 3 days. She read the last 9 pages in 6 days. 6 days. Are these reading rates proportional? So I went ahead and marked my text already. I have 60 pages in 3 days and 9 pages in 6 days. And I know that my action word is, are the rates proportional? So what I'm comparing here is pages read in how many days. So when she started her book, Felissa read 60 pages in 3 days. If I divide that, 60 divided by 3, I get 20 pages per day. Now when she finished her book, she read the last 9 pages in 3 days. So if I divide those, 9 divided by 3, I get 3 pages per day. If I compare these two, 20 pages per day and 3 pages per day, those are not the same. So that means that this is not proportional. All right, so hopefully that helps you use unit rates when seeing if something is proportional. Let's take a look at equivalent fractions. So this time I'm going to compare them using equivalent fractions. So I'm going to set up fractions, and I'm going to see if whatever I do to the numerator or denominator to get the other fraction is the same or not. If it's the same multiplication or division problem, then those are proportional. If they're different, then they're not proportional. So my first problem is talking about free throws shot and how many attempts. So my first one is 3 free throws made out of 7 attempts. And that is supposed to be the same as 9 free throws made out of 14 attempts. So the first thing I look at is I see, how do I go from 3 to 9? To go from 3 to 9, I multiply by 3, which means I need to do 7 times 3 as well. But 7 times 3 is 21. It is not 14. Therefore, this is not proportional. Excuse me. Let's take a look at number 2. Number 2, I have 6 DVDs for $90 and 3 DVDs for $45. So I'm going to set up equivalent ratios, and I like to put money first when I'm talking about rates. So 90 over 6 is supposed to be the same as 45 over 3. So if I go from 90 to 45, that's the same as dividing by 2, which means I also need to divide 6 by 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So since those are the same, that means that this is proportional. All right, let's take a look at our word problem. Our word problem says one school survey showed 3 out of 5 students buy their lunch. Another survey showed that 12 out of 19 students buy their lunch. Are these rates proportional? So I'm comparing how many students buy their lunch compared to how many total students were asked in the survey. So I want 3 out of 5 to be the same as 12 over 19. Many of you can probably look at this and know the answer already. So if I'm using equivalent rates, I want to go from 3 to 12. So that's times 4, which means I need to do 5 times 4. And 5 times 4 is not 19, it is 20. Therefore, this is not proportional. All right, that ends our lesson on proportions. Please make sure to complete both IXLs at the bottom of this page, and they're also listed for you on Schoology. Don't forget to message me if you need any help. Peace, guys. Bye.